Alright, welcome back. Today we're going to look at the hite rite. Going to install this and take a look at it, see how it goes. Big shout out to Jade for sending this across. I've always wanted to try one of these. They seem pretty cool. So yeah, if you don't know what this is, it basically converts your seat post into a dropper post, kind of old school style. And you can see there's a little band up the top that goes around your seat posts, cool little logos, and then a big spring that makes it go up and down. But yeah, we'll put this on and see how it goes. Alright, so going to chuck it on this bike. This is my cargo bike. I did the little update on the shifter recently. But yeah, the reason why I want to put it on this seat post is because this is 25.4 already, so the clamp will fit with no shims. And I just got to make sure it slides up and down alright. I don't want it gouging when it goes up and down. So yeah, I'm gonna take that off and see how it is. And one more thing, you need a quick release clamp. So I have a lot of these around. This is bolted for now, so I'm just gonna switch it out to this. This is just an old Joyu one. I don't know what that is. Alright, just taking off the seat post here. I think last time I built this bike, it was pretty cleaned out, and usually I clean out the seat post and inside the seat tube a little bit, so it should be fine, but always worth to double check. And yeah, it fits pretty snug, this one. Feels pretty good, but I think what I'm going to do is just give it a clean on the inside, give it a light sand to make sure it's super smooth. I think that's going to help the dropper post work a little bit better. And then here, yeah, just using a bit of paper towel to clean it out, and then wet and dry. I think it's 600 or 800 sandpaper, just sanding it and then putting the sandpaper in between the gap and sanding those edges smooth. And yeah, just make sure you don't get this tissue stuck in there. Had to pull it out with a pair of pliers. And then yeah, just giving it a quick clean, greasing it up. You can either grease the outside seat post or the inside of your seat tube. I tend to do both for this one just because I know it's going to move a lot. Usually I just do the seat post. Because my quick release bolt is 6mm, I'm going to run this little shim that they provided. When I was putting the spring on, I couldn't see how it fit depending on what side, and I was thinking maybe the spring was upside down, but that didn't change a thing. So I decided to unbolt this to make sure all the bits were in correctly, and it turns out that one of the bolts was flipped around the other way. You can see how there's a little raised side on one side, and that's for the spring to sit on. Honestly, I don't think this mattered, but I decided to fix it up anyway, and that's kind of how it sits, like the diagram. And then the spring goes on the end, you put a washer in, and then put a lock nut on there. And then I just have everything kind of loose at the moment so I can size it up. And then the shim just slides on the bolt like this, and then you can put it inside the seat clamp hole. But you can see it's too wide, so I'm going to have to cut it. And basically I just held it with my hand and use a hacksaw to cut it. I definitely don't recommend this if you have a vise, put it in a vise. Yeah, your hand's going to get sore afterwards, but it does cut pretty easy, so hopefully if you don't have a vise you can do it this way too. And I just gave it a quick file just to finish off, make sure there was no sharp edges. And that was all ready to go. So I do recommend having the quick release on the left hand side, but usually I run on the right because it's away from the cable. But yeah, I'm just going to do it like this just to see how it works first, and then if I need to change it, I'll change it. But yeah, basically you put the other washer on, and then you can see now that the quick release clamp works, and then you put the spring in here. Here I'm just putting the quick release nut on there, but I end up changing that later for a lock nut that they provided. And then yeah, just sliding the tube in here, make sure everything fits. Here I'm just changing the washer and lock nut. I think it has to be pretty secure because you don't want it kind of popping off and then yeah, you'll be in trouble. So yeah, that's clamped on. You can do this one up tight, the bottom nut, lock nut, and that's pretty good. Make sure you kind of set your seat height now. And then for the top one was a little bit fiddly because it didn't fit my seat post. My seat post is 25.4, but I reread the instructions, and you need to run a shim, and you also might need to cut off some tabs. So I was kind of surprised that you need to do like so much just to get this on. You can see here with those little tabs, these little silver bits, they say recommend you cutting them off and then running a shim. But I decided just to run the shim because I was sick of, I didn't want to get the hacksaw out again and then have to cut those little tabs off. So I'm hoping that the shim will just work when I tighten it. And yeah, basically it comes flat, so you just bend it around the seat post, and then this is how I put it on. I just slide it on like this, and then it takes a little bit to clamp it back down, but eventually, yeah, it kind of gets there. And then yeah, I didn't have to cut those tabs off at the end. It ended up fitting and working pretty nice and tight. So this last lock nut, they recommend keeping that not super tight, just loose, so the spring can move up and down. And yeah, you can kind of see how it works here. It locks in when it's down, and then you pull it and it goes up, and then you just re-lock it again so you can kind of sit on it. But yeah, it slides way smoother than I thought it would. You can see here, I'm actually on the bike now, so just testing it for the first time, just using my weight. The spring is pretty strong. I'm not the heaviest, but I'm sure it will work well with other people as well. And you can see it pops back up there. Pretty simple. And then here it is, all cleaned up. Thing looks pretty cool. And yeah, what I'm going to do is going to go for a little test ride, see how useful it is. But the thing ended up looking pretty clean. And then here's just a drive side shot. Thing looks pretty cool. Yeah, here just riding it for the first time. I gotta say, at the beginning it's a little bit awkward. I didn't know where to go in between my legs or around the back of my leg. I think I ended up going in between my leg, being a little bit easier, but you can see you kind of just do it down like that and sit on it, and it'll drop down, and then ride the trails or whatever. And after you do that, you can pop it back up. You have to unweight your body weight off the whole thing for it to pop up, and then you just gotta tighten it back up again. But yeah, sometimes you can see it actually looks a little bit awkward, but after a few times it's not too bad. Here it is from the front. I think it's probably a little bit easier to see. I think one thing to take into account is when you're going to drop, so you might want to drop a little bit before when you have a bit of speed. I was riding uphill here, going up and down, and it didn't seem too bad. You can still have one hand on the steering. I actually think if you go slower, it's actually harder when you go slower, but if you go a bit faster, it's yeah, actually way easier. You can see here I'm going faster, and I can just pop it down and sit on it, and then yeah, just tighten it up, and then same with putting it back up. So yeah, all in all, I think it's a bit of fun old tech. I think it'd be great for an old clunker, or a little bike where you hop around a lot more, where you need the seat more down. I think it helps a little bit with the cargo bike. I have it down when I hop on and then put it up when I'm riding. I think one thing that might help it is if it had a longer lever, or you were able to connect it to like a shifter or something to make it a little less awkward. But yeah, all in all, pretty good fun. Big shout out to Jade for sending this across. Appreciate it. Thanks so much. Shout out to the people who bought stickers and merch. I appreciate it. It's my shop if you wanna. And yeah, thank you for watching. Hope you liked it. Let me know if you would run an old school dropper like this, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.